All right, the time being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Board of Health meeting to order. All members are present. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Every time we do that, I feel like I'm going to forget the words and they all come right back. So.
Right.
All right. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Great to be entering 2025, staying healthy.
Right.
All right. With that over, I'm going to turn it over to the Health Department for some announcements.
We just have one. Christmas tree curbside collection is this Saturday. So if anybody has a Christmas tree they would like picked up, have it out on your curb, preferably Friday night, weather depending. Make sure there are no ornaments, tinsels, lights, stand on it. Don't wrap it in plastic, just a bare unadorned tree. And the trash guys will collect it on Saturday.
All right.
Perfect.
Do we pay them extra for that, or is it like included in our?
It's
current-
included in the contract.
Oh, nice.
Which is why there's a 1 day pickup and a day pickup only. So.
Gotcha.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. All right. We will get rolling into our discussion and action items for the evening. The first one is a discussion regarding the private well regulations. So this came up last, what's the word to look for? Last meeting. And we kind of left it in a weird spot, end of the year, a lot of things happening. So we're just going to kind of put a nice bow on it and figure out what we're going to do next. We were asked about adopting the new testing requirements because of the inclination that the Commonwealth will force us to. So we're going to get ahead of the game. So the suggestion I believe that I had made was to look at us adopting just that portion. That's not the question I personally think that we should do tonight. I don't think we should make that decision. I think this is probably also a public hearing. From speaking with our health agent, this is something that we have a lot more wells than we think we would. So this is something that we should handle that way. But that section, if you have the copy in front of you, if not, is section 6.
Oh my gosh.
Which kind of outlines how all of that looks. And Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I don't know that all of this is completely different. It's just a lot of what the testing requirements are in terms of what needs to be tested.
Yeah,
Do you recall?
I think some of the numbers might have been slightly different than what we have already. The main thing was the addition for domestic wells of testing for PFAS.
I'm sorry, that's quantity. 7 is called. Sorry.
Yeah, domestic wells testing for PFAS and irrigation wells testing for nitrates and E. coli annually.
So the way, and we're going to talk about public hearings for the next thing. I also want to draw your attention as well. If you have the model regulation on the back page of that, should have additional subjects for regulatory consideration. It's basically a little note for the Board of Health to look at and how we can do these certain things. Water quality testing requirements, there is a whole section here that is a note to a regulatory body to consider. Go ahead and read that on your own time, just so as we go through this, we can do this appropriately. You're going to say something?
Well, there was, I just finished taking an online 10-part course on private wells. Happy to send the link to, it's, do at your own pace. A lot of information, not interesting information, but a lot of information about private wells there.
It'd be great if you could send that.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, and there are things in here, the parameters and testing frequency for private wells. Mass DEP recommends that the Board of Health regulations specify parameters for which water is required to be tested, rather than generally stating that the water must meet drinking water standards. Such general statements could provide a loophole whereby an applicant could test the well water for only 1 or 2 parameters. As long as the water meets the drinking standards for those parameters, the well would pass the water quality test. So there's a lot of things in here that and this is where I get cautious with us, just, okay, well, these are models, let's just adopt them. Like, there are little nuances to this. So what probably the best course of action in my mind would be, and this is open for discussion, we have a public hearing next meeting for our body art regulations, which we'll talk about in a moment. I don't envision that to take an exorbitantly large amount of time. If we take 20 minutes on it, we still probably could finish the meeting in another 10. If we could then at the next meeting, let's just have a draft available for us to take a quick peruse through, answer some of those questions, and apply the tests that are on that last document. If we want to give ourselves some breathing room and maybe at the end of February do a public hearing again, and just kind of move those things along, get them done, I think that's a fair timeline. And as we roll into March, we're good to go with those updated regs. I'm open for discussion on that if the health department's got any points, but.
So the goal would be to have a public meeting and then have people with the wells come in and then weigh in on.
Yeah, and if
But we
we,
don't have a record of everyone with a private well, right? Isn't that what we had said?
Oh, we do.
oh, yeah,
Oh,
we
we
do.
do.
Yeah.
That's why you
Pretty
said there's
extensive,
more
too.
than we think there
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
How many?
A lot.
So more than we
Hundreds of wells.
anticipated.
And I'll be the first to admit, I was on the phone with Chris and I said, how many wells do we actually have? Oh, yeah, this is going to impact a lot of people. So.
Okay, so that's why public- yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
This is,
Okay.
this is what we definitely should do.
Yeah.
I'm putting it out there now because if it is such a large number of people, if I say right now our second meeting in February, let's do a public hearing, we can kind of get on the same page. Now we have, just shy of 2 months that we're letting people know.
It's a responsible move.
Exactly. It doesn't mean we have to officially notify anybody just yet, but let's put it out there, kind of a soft launch on this, and, we can obviously start to post that as appropriate.
Because we had talked about there was a fee too, and so if all these people are going to be upset about a fee, we need to have them be able to come in and weigh in, and then let them know what our goals are and do the education bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we would need to officially set what all of the changes are going to be at least 2 weeks prior, so that we meet those notice requirements. I think we can probably accomplish a lot of that relatively quickly. It's not like we have a lot of things that we need to outline if we're going to use most of the recommended numbers. But let's just make sure, obviously, those tests, we don't have loopholes. If there's anything that's going to change our permitting, those may be changes that need to be adopted as well, and we include those in. And we'll just get a draft copy of the regulation up on the town's website.
I'm super interested to know then if a lot of the private well water also has elevated PFAS. If they're not testing for it, I mean, I bet it is.
Well, one of my concerns is people who are using private wells are thinking of getting a private well because of PFAS in the town water. The town water is being treated and will be treated going forward. And well water is coming from the same aquifer, but is not being treated. Yeah. So, and also, I mean, public health is data driven. Without people testing and getting those reports to the health department, we don't know what the quality of our water looks like. So,
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. Cool. Sorry. Continue.
I'm just checking my phone, and that is because I think maybe if we could officially set the date and just take a vote to set the date for that hearing, and then it's all set. And to actually probably our favor, President's Day falls on a Monday, obviously, so that pushes our February meeting out to the 24th. So we actually have an extra week on top of that. So I am therefore going to make a motion that we have a public hearing regarding the private well regulations on February 24th.
I'll second.
Second from Jason. Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. So that is set. All right, so that's set to go. We'll get the notice out for that at least 2 weeks prior once we have the draft in place. Any other thoughts on private wells before we move on? Nothing? Okay. Perfect. All right, discussion regarding the posting of body art regulations in the public hearing. So there's a little blurb that has to go out with that. It's gonna sound like this. I haven't written it and sent it yet, but it's gonna go out tomorrow, just so you know.
okay.
But it goes like this. Public hearing will be held at the Abington Board of Health, by the Abington Board of Health at Town Hall, 500 Glenowitz Way on, sorry, I didn't put the date in here correctly, January 27th, 2025 at 6:05 PM to consider opting updates to the regulation entitled Body Art Regulations. The proposed regulation will be available for inspection on the town's website. So that'll be the posting for that. We will communicate, we'll use Abington News, whatever we need to do to get that out as a posting. Keep in mind that with public hearings on the Board of Health side of things, we don't have to hold them, but it is valuable input for us.
I like it.
So we should hold them. Obviously, everyone got this handout as well from KP Law. This was found on the internet. But it does explain very well that there are 3 types of hearings. There's I don't like the way that this words is. There's a legislative hearing, sort of, and then there's like a judicial hearing. We're doing a legislative hearing, or a regulatory hearing, where we're going to talk about an adoption or amendment to the public body's rules or regulations. I will have a little spiel at the beginning to set limits to how long people can speak, and the kind of the width and breadth of that topic. There's a good little document that I already put together that we've used in the past. It just keeps it clean. Again, if we've only got 1 or 2 people coming, this isn't the big thing I'm worried about a lot of people barking at, but obviously if we have private wells, we get a ton of people, it will follow the same format. In the past, we've allowed 2-ish minutes for people to speak their piece on whatever portion they'd like to. If we move to different topics, they can move on from there. But we'll judge the size of the room, we'll regulate it accordingly, and make sure that it moves along. There's a lot in that regulation, so let's just be prepared to take a good look at it. We don't really need to make any decisions that night. Personally, I don't think we'd be in a good position to adopt a 23-page regulation from a 7-page regulation next
So it'll
meeting.
be more about getting public opinion.
Yes, exactly. And we will provide an option for anybody that wants to submit extra comments. They'll be allowed to do so. Either they can do them in advance, so we have them and we can read them as part of that, or they can submit them afterwards. And probably Crystal's just, if they send them to the health department, just forward them along.
All right, will do.
Okay.
Cool.
Anything else on that? Pretty straightforward. Great. Vote to approve the minutes of December 16th. Everyone should have a copy of those.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from December 16th.
I'll second.
Motion to approve the minutes from December 16th by Katie, seconded by Susan. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Okay. Beautiful. Give that to you. And where are we at? Health agent reports. Health agent.
All right, everybody should have a copy of my report. Just to summarize, inspections since the last Board of Health meeting. On the 18th, they inspected Kids and Company, Sunshine Face Academy, Learning Experience. Those are all childcare facilities, as well as Yaz Sushi and Ramen. On the 20th, they inspected the Luau Brazilian Market. On the 26th, Brothers Roast Beef and Sub Galley. And then on the 3rd, Mom on the Go, which operates a commissary here in Abington. They have a food truck now, so he inspected their food truck. All inspections were without incident or violation. Complaints, we had a complaint regarding business at 833 Randolph Street. So landscaping business was operating equipment and trucks at 4:30 in the morning. And idling the trucks. I went down and spoke to the owner. They are not doing that any longer. Introduced him to our noise regulations and proper operating hours.
Was it leaf blowers?
No, it's heavy trucks.
Oh,
We had a complaint regarding 890 Bedford Street, about her claiming that the property owner is running an illegal transfer station and violating dumpster regulations. We did investigate this and working with the building department to rectify the situation. It is not an illegal transfer station, and I explained to the complainant that the dumpster regulations that the Board of Health has are in regards to active dumpsters being used for waste, not empty dumpsters as part of a dumpster business. That's 2 different things. So that's ongoing. No trainings or conferences in the last couple of weeks. And that's it.
love no violations.
No violations is nice. FinCom, I might not agree, but we like no violations.
Because it goes into the general fund.
Thank you.
It doesn't go into our budget.
Any questions or anything? Nope. I'm going to waive through public comment period because we have no public. And lastly, correspondence. I just have one piece because it came to me, and I'll share that first so we can go from there. I did receive multiple emails from a resident asking, why is my trash barrel getting filled or everything like that? I just kept forwarding them along to the health department, and it was rectified. So I just want to thank you for all the work that you do to make that happen. We and I haven't had a conversation about it, so just thank you.
Yeah, why is
My trash
wife-
barrel was not getting
Oh, it was
empty.
getting skipped.
Yes, so thank you for everything the health department does to make sure that those things get rectified. I'm sure it's a common complaint, so.
I've got one too. Correspondence, just multiple community members who snapshotted me and sent me pictures that Target in Abington is using the thin plastic bags again. I will remind them that those notices need to go to the health department. Because I know I only just
Yep.
told you now.
Yeah, we can't investigate what we don't know. Yes, I did receive one other complaint about Target, so we will go out and check them out tomorrow. As a reminder, single-use plastic bags are not allowed in Abington. This would be the second violation, I believe, within a year for Target, so they're looking at a $200 fine.
Second time in a year, huh?
Yep.
They probably get a new manager.
I mean, and not for nothing. Well, here's the situation. So somebody sent me pictures of the bags. They also have a large box full of bags in the front of the store that says on the side of the box, plastic bags do not use in Abington.
Oh my god.
So
Unacceptable.
as far as trash, we also got quite a bit of correspondence, as you can imagine. There's been people have had a lot of excess trash because of the holidays for the last 2 weeks. So I want to first acknowledge people's frustration. I certainly understand, especially when you get kids, you get a lot of packaging, it adds up. Just to address a few misconceptions, one of the reasons that we've been stickering barrels is when your lids aren't closed, rain, snow, moisture gets in. There's two problems. One, with trash, rodents get in, and that exacerbates our rodent problem in town. But with the recycling, it gets wet, significantly increases the weight, which the town pays for, as well as the other problem that people were experiencing the last 2 weeks with the cold weather. The recycling freezes in the barrel and does not empty when the driver is emptying the barrel. And then you're stuck with excess.
I forgot about the rain component of that.
So that's part of the problem. We get a lot of calls. People want the drivers to come back, and there's been some people upset that the response from the health department is it's at the discretion of the drivers. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, we have the same drivers doing our trash and recycling that have been doing it for at least 5 or 6 years now. They know the routes. They know the houses. I do not. So we leave it at their discretion, number one, because I know there are people who legitimately, sometimes their barrels are not empty, but there are plenty of people that after the truck goes by will bring additional out and then call and say that their barrel wasn't emptied. I take every call at face value, but it does happen. The drivers know. The drivers know what barrels were out and which barrels were not. They usually email us in the morning and let us know which houses have not put their barrels out, and frequently those houses will call and say they were missed. It's just a fact of life. So we do leave it to their discretion because they are out there. It's also in their contract. They're not required to go back unless they legitimately miss a barrel. If somebody's late putting their trash out, we will always take that call, and I will always message the driver and say, so-and-so said they were missed. If you're able to, please go back. 9 out of 10 times they will. Sometimes they can't.
Pretty nice guys.
They do their best, and they are very conscientious, but it's also a time thing. They're on a schedule. For them to go back to a house that they've already gone to adds on to their day.
Screws up the rest of the route.
There have been some suggestions. I saw today somebody suggesting that we put a dumpster up at the compost site and charge people for extra trash. That is illegal. That would be running a transfer station. I don't know if anybody remembers during the Republic strike, the health department did that, and we got in big trouble with the DEP. We were just trying to get people's trash out of their yards, but you have to have a licensed transfer station to be taking trash at a location. So great idea, just unfortunately, it's not something that we can do. We have explored doing cardboard recycling, but that requires us purchasing a baler and a
That's
forklift.
something I was hoping you would bring up because I followed a huge thread of that on the Abington Facebook page. A lot of cardboard boxes over the holiday. Everyone
Yeah.
was saying, wouldn't it be nice if Abington had a cardboard compactor? But I remembered from when I first started on the Board of Health, it had been a passion of yours. You were hoping to see it come to fruition, but it seems like there's a lot to it.
Yeah,
Continue, sorry.
the biggest challenge is, so we would have to have a baler, we would have to have a forklift, we would have to increase the amount of electricity going into the site to be able to power these things. And I think a lot of people forget that the compost site is a former landfill. We are not able to do just whatever we want at that compost site. It's still being tested. DEP is there every quarter, testing gassing and water. So there's still stuff coming up out of the ground from the former landfill. When we get clearance from DEP, we might be able to expand operations right there. But as of right now, we're only allowed to do what we're doing. So definitely would love to do it, just it's not feasible.
Yeah.
Not to mention that at the time when we were talking about it, this was COVID, the cardboard industry had a much better, return on that investment. So we're going to invest all these resources into it. We are not going to get the same thing back
Yeah.
out of collecting the cardboard. So it's really going to increase the financial burden on the community.
Yeah, and people have talked about in the past, we used to give a second barrel of recycling for free. Prior to, I think 2016, we actually got paid for recycling, and now we have to pay to get rid of it, and it's like $86 a ton, depending on the week. That changes, but so that's why we're not doing free barrels anymore, because it costs the town money, and that's ultimately going to cost the townspeople money. So. We're trying to reduce. That's really the only way to solve the problem. Yeah. Yeah. Only way to solve. The only thing that we have control of is reducing the amount of trash that we produce. The town of Abington does not have any control over the price of disposal, of tipping fees, and more landfills are closing. So it's only going to go up. We feel yes.
All right. Any other correspondence? Seeing none. All right. That is the end of our agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Jason to adjourn, second from Susan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. We are adjourned.
Go.